everyone! Today I wanted to show you my plant collection. These are plants that I've managed to, as a beginner, keep alive. A little background: when I lived at my parents' house, I had the darkest room in the house. Even though it would have benefited my plants much more to be outside or in the living room where there was more light, I was just not about it. I wanted them in my room where I could see them more often. Because of that, I managed to kill succulents and air plants, which are the plants that I started with. They're hard to kill, they're hardy, and I managed to kill them. I also had a bonsai tree, which I got as a gift from my best friends. It was my fault, but also my mom's fault. I'm gonna join blame there. When I went on a trip for 2 weeks, I asked her if she could help take care of the plant, and she kind of forgot. So it wasn't watered and it was completely dry when I came back. I told my friends about it. One of them offered to give it to her aunt to try to nurse back to health. Her aunt apparently has a really green thumb. I gave it to her. I haven't gotten it back. I haven't heard any updates. My friend doesn't actually know, but I really hope that one day I can be reunited with it again. I moved to this condo with my fiance about 9 months ago. There's a lot of space here, big windows, so there's a lot of light coming in. I'm constantly buying more plants for this space, and there have been a few casualties here and there. This is the collection that I have as of right now. You're gonna see this background changing a little bit just because, if you can see, there are some plants here as it is, so I'm gonna be taking them down just to show you. So this is my collection. Before I get started, I do have a couple of honorable mentions. These are plants that I brought over from my parents' house. This is Carl. He's a little air plant, very dried up, but I still think he looks pretty cool with his little hair. My other air plant on its own doesn't look very special, but when paired with the planter it came in, I think looks pretty nice. I'm starting this video by showing you my dead plants, but this came from an old bouquet and I just put that in there with him, and voila! I think it looks pretty cool. The other thing I wanted to mention isn't a plant, but a planter. It's a little Totoro with a pushcart. This one I feel really dumb about because I got it off of Etsy. It had the measurements and everything, and I had even opened up my little ruler to see how big it was gonna be, and still I was surprised by how small it was. Even so, I think you could still fit like a little air plant in there. I just put a little fake flower in when I display it. I think it's still super cute, and this brings me joy to see. I just wish that I had a bigger one. This is my sunbathing dog, and this is my Dracaena Warnicki Jade Jewel. It's the only tree I have. It's also pretty heavy. It's leaning against the wall for support. It also has this little stick here that I secured to kind of get it to lean the other way. I don't normally have the blinds open this much, but I wanted to let the dog sunbathe a little bit more, and I figured it would be better lighting for the video. There's my Caladium, my Calathea, and my watering can. It's so cute, the water comes out of the trunk. I almost forgot to mention that I named this one Tree Dragon. Not only is it a dragon tree, it's also named after one of my favorite K-pop stars back in the day, G-Dragon. This is Callie. She is my Calathea Medallion. She has a very cool design at the top of her leaves and purple underneath, so that's what attracted me to her. When I looked up this kind of plant online, I kind of freaked out because I heard that it was very high maintenance, and it can be. I keep her by the window, not in direct sunlight. At night, she lifts her leaves up, and then in the daytime they come back down. One way that you know that your Calathea needs to be watered is when she's dry, her leaves start to wilt and they fold in on themselves, and they just feel a lot thinner. This is one of the first plants I got, and she's also my favorite. She has like new leaves constantly sprouting. It just brings me so much joy to see that she's still growing. I have had to cut off some dying leaves at the bottom here, but she's constantly getting new growth, and I just really love her. This is Abel. He is my Dieffenbachia tiki, also known as dumb cane. You have to be careful when you get certain plants because they can be toxic to humans and pets alike. Luckily, I have a Chihuahua who will maybe sniff a plant, but he doesn't try to eat them. I was attracted to the pattern on these leaves also. He is pretty big. When I got him, he was maybe half to 2/3 of this size, so he's been thriving. This is Whitney, my Caladium mini. She was even more beautiful when I first got her. If you notice here, there are a lot of ridges right there on the stem. She actually used to have a lot of flowers, but flowers die, so I picked them off. And these two aren't just ones that survived, these are new ones actually. I noticed after I took off the dead flowers, there were some buds and they bloomed into these flowers. The other issue I ran into with this is yellowing of the leaves. If you see here, there's a lot of open space, and that is where there used to be more leaves. They turned yellow, so I cut them off. It also makes the plant look better. She's still alive and kicking, but I had a regular sized, or bigger than this, Caladium. It used to fit in this pot, but this is a case of me being selfish again and keeping it in a spot that didn't get as much light as the plant deserved, which was actually up here. She got really wilty, her flowers died. It was just not a good look, so she was one of the casualties that I have had. This is Toph, my Dracaena. I named her after the earthbender from Avatar. Her leaves remind me of Toph's hair. I actually had a Dracaena before this, which was my first houseplant. It was a gift from my mom. The plan was for it to become a big tree and we would have it for years to come. But I think it suffered from root rot because the leaves, the tips were turning yellow and brown. Months later, it started getting spotty and yellow along the leaves as well. So it looked very diseased. My mom, when I told her about it, was hoping to bring it back to life. But when I brought it back to her house and she saw how bad it was, she was thinking it would not come back. So I'm happy to have this one. And the thing that attracted me to this most is how vibrant the leaves are. We're keeping it real here. I don't keep all of my plants alive as much as I would love to. This is Mia, my Peperomia octusifolia. So sad, right? The problem with this one was I had it in one of those hanging macrame baskets. It was like on the opposite side of the window, so it wasn't getting much light. And as a result of kind of being on the wall, I don't think I was watering it as much as I should have. And it wasn't this bad before. When I realized like, oh, I probably shouldn't keep it hanging up on the wall, it was maybe like at this level. And I thought that if I gave it better light and gave it better water, it would come back to life. And today I noticed it just looked like this. This one I will just have to say goodbye to. This is Lily, my Spathiphyllum or peace lily. She is just foliage. She used to have 2 flowers up here. Eventually they turned green and then brown. At that point it didn't look so good to have them there, so I cut them off. I noticed a new leaf coming off of her. Aha, there she is. Right here. So she is still growing. These are where her flowers used to be. And I just noticed that she has 2 more coming in. This is Uma, my golden pothos or devil's ivy, and she is growing so long. When I first got her, she was nowhere near this full or long. She has become very dense up at the top. I think she only had 2 vines that were coming out of the pot, and the longest it wasn't even past the level of the pot. It was like to right here. So in the span of a month and a half, she has grown this long, and she's constantly growing. She always has these new leaves that I'm noticing. She grows so fast, and that's what devil's ivy is known for. It's very resilient, easy to take care of. It grows quickly, so it's been really fun just seeing how much she's grown. Look at how long she is. It's insane. This is Chikorita, my Hedera helix, or English ivy. I named her after the Pokemon because the leaves reminded me of that move Razor Leaf. She looks pretty healthy, right? She's really green, she's kind of long, but she was about to become the next Mia because I did another selfish thing and I kept her on top of the fridge in the kitchen where there are no windows and no natural light coming in. When I would take her down to water her, her leaves were really low to the pot. Right now the leaves are green. But back then, they were almost like this right here where it's more white instead of this kind of yellow-green. It looked kind of gray. At that point, I took her down, I took off all of the dead leaves. There are some leaves coming in right here, but when I was trying to nurse this plant back to health, I had stripped this whole thing of all the leaves and there was just one leaf left right here. Now there are 3, so this plant is thriving because I moved it right here where this empty planter is. There's a huge window right here. I think that that benefited this plant so much because it looks so much healthier right now, and I'm so happy that this did not turn into another casualty. Look at this baby hiding behind these guys. So cute. This is Tara, my Monstera Deliciosa. She has a new leaf coming through right here. She's a bit leany, so I tied this stem to this chopstick, which I tied to this chopstick. So it straightened her out quite a bit. Expectations, reality. These are my Caladiums. I got this one first. I named her Effie after Effie Trinket from the Hunger Games because she looks very flamboyant. And this is Piper. Well, my best friend gave me this one because she propagated it off of her mother plant. She is thriving considering she lives in a water bottle. This is how my friend transferred the plant and gave it to me. When she gave it to me, it only had these 2 leaves. And since then, a little over a month, it sprouted 4 new leaves, and there are 2 new ones coming in. I was going to repot it, but it's doing so well in here that I'm afraid to do that because I don't want it to turn into this. This used to be a lot bigger. I don't even want to quantify how much bigger it used to be because it's really sad. I think it used to be like 5 times as big as this. I repotted it into this smaller one because all of the leaves were dying because it got root rot. These were already wilty when I repotted it, but the bulb was okay. I thought maybe if I put it into the new pot it would come back to life, but it hasn't really. I think it can still be saved if I repot it again and take out the bulbs of these really wilty ones because there are still some that stand upright. It still has growth coming out, but I'm glad that I have this one since this one isn't doing so hot. This is Marnie, my Tradescantia spathacea, also known as Moses-in-the-Cradle. I was attracted to this because of the purple underneath. That's also why I named it Marnie. It's a mixture of Maleficent and Barney, both of which are green and purple. This is Kiyoshi, also known as white butterfly. You can see from the tops of the leaves, some more than others, that they're white, and that's why I named it Kiyoshi, after Kiyoshi and the Kiyoshi warriors from Avatar. They are from the Earth Nation and they wear white face paint, so I thought it was fitting. I wanted another hanging plant, one that would grow nice and long. It's already starting to form new growth. This is my Hypoestes phyllostatia, also known as Polka Dot Plant. I named it Seurat after Georges Seurat. The pattern on these leaves is insane, and the colors too. That's my plant collection. If you have any recommendations on plants that are easy to take care of or manageable, please let me know. I'm always open to getting more plants. Thank you so much for watching.